Put it on, girl. Let me see it. Put it on, girl. Let me see it.
All right, y'all, welcome to Accidentally Informed, where
we can't guarantee that you'll learn something, but we definitely have a jam-packed show today.
We sure do. I am Claudia Jordan with my girl, Erica Cobb. Informers, today's show is packed. We don't just have the amazing Tisa Tells back with us to talk about the Diddy trial ending, but we also have writer, producer, and comedian Dustin Ross joining us later. We'll get into our wild DC trip and get his take on what BSimone said about friends and jealousy. We have a lot to get into, so we will not start off with small talk. We're going to just dive right in. Listen, this girl, on top of being drop dead gorgeous, she's Karma's chief correspondent and the woman who has been sitting in the courtroom of the Diddy trial since day one. In fact, she's still at the courthouse now, left the courthouse to go outside to get with us, and we'll go back in. Please welcome Tisa Tells back to the show.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's so good to be back.
Girl, you're serving courtroom Barbie like in the most professional way.
Oh, thank you so guys. You guys are hyping me up, but it's a struggle getting up and getting out at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, but we're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. So
is it like a first come, first serve as far as getting?
It is 100% first come, first serve, and there is drama in the line. It is like a reality TV show. You know how it is. Like, you guys are used to it, but in YouTube, I don't have any coworkers. My coworkers are like, my drama's on my phone. So it's like just getting into all the drama that's going on. Somebody's going to get stabbed one day in those lines, but we'll see. We'll see.
What? I saw you outside when you saw Kanye walking up and you're like, oh my God, and y'all had a moment. I seen going live and it's been really exciting. Like, I feel like the coverage that you're doing, Armand and a few others, is way better than the mainstream media. It really is.
Yeah, well, Armand is the OG game in media coverage. He is really setting the bar. But it's just been so exciting every day being in court, seeing what's going on. And it's nice to have those coworkers. But Armand will tell you about the line. It's like there's something going on in the line. People swinging chairs around. And the thing is, none of those people are in court. They're just, I don't know. It just is what it is.
So let me ask you, because you've been present for the trial since day one.
Yeah.
So is that like, what's your routine like, just kind of getting organized to do that?
Okay, so I wake up at about 4 in the morning. I ask, why didn't I make better decisions in my life? I think about, I'm just not going to go in. I don't feel right. And then, that work ethic kicks in around 4:30 and it's like, get yourself up. So I run, you try to get dressed. The good thing is once you get there, you're standing in line, but there is an energy because everybody's there. It's almost like waiting in line for tickets. There are line holders. There are people that have been there for a while. And there's people just causing drama. And you know how it is whenever there's like a lot of people involved, just da-da-da-da-da-da. However, for the most part, everybody's really excited. We wait. The press gets to go in first, then we go in. So we go from bullpen to bullpen and everybody's always nervous. Like, can we get in? Can we get in? Can we in? Once we get in the courtroom, there is zero talking, zero eating, zero snacking, and you just have to pay attention and do your best to make sure, especially me, my face shows everything, not to show any reactions that could taint the jury or whatnot. But it's so interesting seeing everybody there, especially seeing like Diddy, I think the stunt queen ethics that he's trying to do, seeing the judge not fall for it, and also seeing the jury's reactions to the freak off tapes. It's been a lot.
On a level of 1 to 10, how disgusting are they? Are they disgusting?
So listen, they have not showed us the freak off tapes by accident. I think 2 and 3 times we heard the audio. Okay. The audio is straight up bum chicka bum bum, the murmuring, the this, the that, like just like, and at one point there was one time where we heard Jane. It sounded like she was screaming in pain or ecstasy. I don't know. I wasn't watching it. However, it was so loud that you could hear the echo of it over the headphones. However, I will say from the reaction of the jury, they are not impressed. They look like they are disgusted. There's some of them that as soon as they can, the exact second, they take the headphones off and put them down. They look away, their brows are furrowed. They look disgusted by what they are seeing. Oddly enough, Diddy, every time it's time to put the headphones on, he is the first one to be like, where's my headphones? Putting them on. Sometimes he leans over to get a better view because they only have it showing on one screen in the courtroom. because they don't want the general public to see it. So he's leaned in, he's sitting back, and sometimes he looks like he's almost proud. But when I say he is enjoying watching those freak off tapes, and there was even one day where he said they need to look at the evidence over again. And at this point, I think the jury have been shown 23 minutes of a freak off tape, but here and there. But 23 minutes total. And he asked the judge, could they stay later in the courthouse so that he could view the tapes in the closed room? They call it the roving room. And the judge was like, sure, I guess, because it's his constitutional right. But the optics, I do have to say, he's not asking for this while the jury's here. The jury's left the room. So this is all like, not sidebar,
For
but
his own personal satisfaction.
Listen, here's the thing. If he had asked in front of the jury, that would have maybe tainted the jury. He's asking this once the jury has been dismissed. He says he needs it because he really needs to get, they need to look at the evidence more. But I was like, Nick, no, you were in the tape. What are you talking about? What evidence do you need? Again, it's really weird the way he's acting with those tapes. Really weird.
He's been locked up for a minute. So this might be the chef's kiss that he's been looking for.
Yeah.
Pornography.
You know what? Hearing all these things, like we've all had relationships where it's been extremely powerful sexual chemistry, and you might say, "Oh, I'm a freak." I will never ever say that I'm a freak ever again, because the level of how did he make all these hits all these years with this level of sex drive? When did he have time for music?
It's so funny. I remember I interviewed Little Rod, right? And one of the things that really grinded his gears about Diddy was the fact that he was like, everybody thinks he's this musical genius. He's not. He doesn't know how to write music, read music, and he just gets talented people to work themselves for the bone and then takes all the credit. And, I'm not a music person. So when he said that, I really didn't understand until I talked to a lot of musicians. I think that might be what he's doing with his empire too, because Claudia, to your point, I said, when does this fool have time to work for anything? And it made me think his greatest thing was identifying people that had talent. They had a light. Everyone, from the women to his assistants, everybody had something like a spark. But then he also found people that were broken somehow, that had some type of trauma, either gaping or it was hidden. But he had that trauma. He knew how to get in there, rewire their brains so that being a part of the family meant everything, and getting his approval meant even more. Again, that is what he was talented at really doing.
Right. He's the connector, but he's also the puppet master, but he's also the predator.
Exactly.
You mentioned the jury before, and obviously now the fate of his guilt or innocence is in the jury's hands. What are we expecting now at this stage of the game?
Okay, I gotta be honest with you. I am expecting him to be guilty. If he's not, you will see me walk straight from the courtroom, get in an Uber, and get on a plane and just be in the air. Like, you guys can throw my stuff in the thing. A lot of people have been joking that if Diddy is found not guilty, he is going to be out for vengeance. He's highly vindictive. But I gotta tell you, I don't know how it's coming across in the tweets, but I've been there in the courtroom every day. And the feds have been doing an amazing job laying down. Again, like I keep trying to remind people, everybody thinks that the sex trafficking is like Taken, where there's 100 women chained and they're bloodied and blue. That's not the face of, I don't know if I can say, of sex trafficking. That's not the face of that. It literally is that, even though it's unsexy, even though it's one corporate spreadsheet of accounting after the other, even though it's one boring air receipt and one boring summary chart, that is the RICO and that is the sex trafficking. The government has proven their case on charges that for some reason a lot of people seem to think, oh, that's not really that illegal. It is 100% illegal. The moving the rugs, to moving the entertainers across state lines and across foreign lines. There's so much that he did that was illegal that the government has got him in at least 3 airtight charges that, by the way, even on the low end, carry about 10 years on the very low end, but they are consecutive, which means that he could be easily looking at 20, 30 years. And that's before they even start putting the heavy stuff down. So it's not looking good for him. And it's going to be interesting to see the way social media reacts. Again, I'm not Nostradamus. I could be dead off. But just for the legal professionals I talked to and just my own personal opinion, I think they have him. And I think he is going to be getting time. Now, will it be life? I don't know, but there is going to be time there.
I like about what you do is like I love different commentators for different things. Like again, I mentioned Armand earlier, extremely entertaining, a fantastic storyteller, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And what I like about your coverage is you seem to have you seem to be almost like a paralegal or a lawyer because you actually provide context and like, what the law actually is. No, we need both. We need both things. And I appreciate that about you. Now, today, we found out that the state charges were dropped. And people were like, oh, he's walking. And there's a report that he's planning a 4th of July. The family's planning a 4th of July party in Miami. All these things are getting out. What do you think? Do you think that was a major win for Diddy, what the state? Because now he can actually get pardoned by the president if he wanted. If Trump wanted.
Listen, you bring up a lot of good points. And listen, I'm not going to lie. It was a win for Diddy. Now, does it mean I believe in looking at things? And you guys know I can't stand an abuser, a narcissist, anyone with DV or SA. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. But I can at least accept reality. It's almost like when you're watching a sports game, right? If the opposition scores, you're not going to sit there and be like, that didn't happen. No, let's acknowledge it. They got to win. I'm sure right now they are doing jazz hands and doing praise dances in the back. They got to win. Diddy came into that court just arms are swinging. He looked like 10 bricks had been lifted off his shoulders. But that said, just because they got these wins in with the state charges, okay, we're waiting to see the final verdict instructions because that's a little bit interesting right there. It's a little unclear whether it's just the attempted, right, or whether it's all kidnapping, all arson. If it's attempted, those are lesser charges. And they have a point. It could confuse the jury. However, it still looks a little bit sloppy and unprofessional that at this state of the game, Southern District of New York are removing any charges off of the docket. You know, it's not a good look. So that's why I say this isn't a win for our team, right? It's not a win, but okay. So the other team scored a few. You should expect that in court. However, when it comes to the overarching RICO, when it comes to the overarching trafficking, and when it comes to the overarching transporting drugs, escorts, entertainers, transporting so many things across state lines for a commercial SMEX act, they actually really do have them. It's unclear, and that's what we're doing right now. They're going through the final jury instructions or verdict instructions. That's going to let us know whether the bribery is sticking, whether they're going to take full arson, which raises their level that they have to prove to the jury, but it simplifies it. So it's easier for the jury to say yes. Okay. So I get that people are trying to spin this as like, oh, the government's playing 4D chess and Diddy's playing. No. Listen, the government, I think when they listened to Diddy's Rule 29 motion yesterday, I think they listened and they're like, oh shit, okay, you got a few points. Hold on. Let's go ahead and rewrite it. I think that they made such good points that they were like, let's shore up. Is it sloppy at this late of the game? Yes. But you know what? They're in battle. We're not. It's easy for me to be like the Monday morning quarterback when they are making things as quick as possible. I will say the last thing that I think this was actually Mark Agnifilio's goal when he rushed to court instead of letting the trial play out. It made the government speed up their investigation, short circuit their investigation, and it made them move under a time clock that I think that if they had a little more time to just sit with everything and see how they feel, I don't think they even would have brought up the attempted that they now are dropping, you know?
That's a great point because as we know, we all have the right to a speedy trial, but a lot of that onus and responsibility is on the person who is up for trial.
Yes.
So that's the reason why a lot of times like normal people will kind of like delay going to trial because it's also an opportunity to get your affairs in order because you don't know what's going to happen, what the verdict's going to be. I want to touch on the arson because we were under the impression that the arson charges were dropped. But you're delineating the difference between what's actually happening with the arson. Can you kind of like make that?
Okay, so let me be clear. Right now, they are still in court hashing it out. It's actually, even for the legal people inside, a lot of people are like, what is going on? Whatever is on the verdict sheet is what's going to be. And they are objecting and haggling over everything. So when you come to the arson charge, they asked for the attempted arson to be dropped. However, the arson actually, the wind is fighting with me. The arson is actually, they're saying that they might have also removed the whole arson charge because at the end of the day, nobody really saw him do it. He told everybody he was going to do it. But if anybody wants to leave, because you have to have beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was him. And there's a lot of wiggle room in there. So we're waiting to see if the kidnapping, if the arson, and if the aiding and abetting sex trafficking, the actual charges, not the lower attempted, but the actual, if they're actually going to stay in. And today is going to tell us that. I do also want to say, just in case I depressed everyone, right? One thing the defense is mad about that I think the prosecution got by accident is they got to have their cake and eat it too. See, even though, let's just say they do throw out the kidnapping, they do throw out the arson, they do throw out all that stuff, okay? There, you cannot unring the bell. The victims still stood there and testified. So what they basically gave, because there's no charge, is character evidence. And usually that's completely excluded in court, okay? Objection, you can't do that, but you want to get it in there because you want people to know what a POS they are, right? But by getting that all in, they had a lot of character evidence. So now, even though it's not, do you think Diddy tried to blow up someone's car? They heard it, they made up their own minds. And when they're looking at, is this guy Rico? Does it rise to that level? They're thinking in back of the head, well, this mofo like tried to blow up a car. He was having girls in the thing. So it's something that the defense could wish that they could turn back time, but it's impossible to unring the bell. So that's one good thing that came out. The charges are gone, but the testimony is not forgotten.
I saw that on your page that you were talking about that, and you do make some great points. Like if they didn't, the fact that they maybe overcharged and got all that evidence and testimony in and then took it out. Yes. The jurors can't forget what they already heard, and they wouldn't have been able to do that. One of our commenters makes a really good point, saying, real quick, sorry. Christine R says, if Puffy gets out, a lot of people's lives will be in immediate danger. So sad. That's why people don't want to come forward in the first place. And a lot of this case was intimidation, threats, violence, attempted arson, allegedly blowing up a car. What do you think about that? Like, do you think the victims are safe if he gets out?
I absolutely do not. I've actually talked to people that are close to the victims, and not every victim, but some of the victims, and they are all very, very worried. You know, I always say this, from what my research has shown me about Diddy, I think this is an Al Capone factor. What did they get him on? Not paying his taxes. However, Al Capone had bodies all over the Chicago street. A lot of people feel, and I've become to believe, that it's the same thing with Diddy. Again, we saw one beating with Cassie. Allegedly, he's beaten her viciously the entirety, frequent and often. We've seen the sex trafficking. We've seen the violence. We've seen the threats. We've seen the intimidation. Again, Mark Agnifilo, by rushing the trial, short-circuited so much. So getting back to your original question about the victims, it's the victims. It's anybody that's spoken out against them. It's anybody that had the courage to come forward, either on social media, because there's a lot of people that came forward on social media that the prosecution chose not to call as witnesses. And Claudia, yourself, you have been unfairly targeted and tried to pull into that mess. And you're just sitting there minding your beautiful business, and people are making up perverted fan fiction about to rise to fame when everybody knows that the only way you rose was by using what was in between your ears, you know? So it's like, no, but it's so true. And it's like, for them to even go to your legacy that is clearly documented and try to besmirch that, you caught just a stray, and it was an undeserved stray, of what even the victims are having to do now. So when you look at that, they're saying that Diddy's not going to stop. He's going to start the smear campaigns. He's going to want to ruin their lives. He's going to want to blacklist them. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to join hands and help him make the lives of the victims as hard as possible, because maybe they're afraid. They want to make sure they're never in Diddy's case, not because of their actions, but not being held accountable. So there are a lot of people really, really worried. And let me just say this, like, I know I was even hard on one of Diddy's ex-girlfriends, Gina, always calling her dum-dum and all this other stuff. But now that I see the way things have played out and the way people, reputations have been dragged, they tried you, Claudia, and you put a stop to it, but they tried. And the way people's lives are being ripped apart unfairly, I see why a lot of victims didn't want to come forward. And I just hope to God that not only is he convicted, but these charges are heavy, because I think it's going to send a signal to the next case and the next Diddy that comes, that people don't have to be scared and they can come forward. So yeah, a lot going on.
It sounds like similar to like Trump, how Trump intimidates people to kind of get him on his side, and I want to ask. I know you have something to ask, Erica. I want to ask about the. Listen, we've all made fun of those courthouse sketches, which are ridiculous. How bad does he look? Is he really gray? Does he look haggard? Does he look the same?
Okay, let me tell you something. I don't know what Diddy is talking about. The court is doing him a favor. This is the best he's looking. They are contouring him. They are giving that shape up line. Don't get me wrong. Diddy looks like, Diddy looks like he's actually healthier than he's been in the last 3 years.
Well, clean.
Thank you, Erica. He looks clean. He looks like that he is on a Tucci-free diet. The court sketches are actually doing him justice. And for him to say he wants a glamour shot, he wants a JC Penney sketch, I don't know what to do. These court sketches are doing him a favor. And this is somebody that, okay, maybe not that one, but most of them, for the most part, are doing him a favor. So it's like, I don't understand, but I think he wanted to have a moment because you guys, he's been glaring at me and now he just ignores me, but he's been trying to get his people to make friendly with all the social media influencers and the press. And I feel like when he said, "Oh, you make me look like a koala," I feel like he was trying to make some olive leaf to Stephanie Sue of Rotten Mango because one of her videos will get like 2 million views. So I feel like he's still trying to turn it on and smooth and work the room. And that koala thing was for Stephanie. But as soon as he said that, she was like, "And goodbye. I'm done. Y'all not going to get me killed." So yeah, there's a lot going on.
Well, the hope is, one, that justice is served and that he's found guilty, but also just acknowledging because the problem with this is it's a snowball effect. Yes, these are victims of Diddy, but if they aren't protected, then it prohibits other victims and survivors to come forward because it's already hard enough as a survivor to come forward. But to know that you can tell your story and not be protected after, that is going to absolutely cause, a horrific destruction to our judicial system. So I hope that everyone who has come forward and said their piece is protected, that they feel that safety and security, because this is bigger than Diddy. This is about our actual justice system.
I completely agree with you. And it's like one thing that I feel like a lot of people are looking over is the fact that not only does justice need to happen for the victims, but justice needs to happen for like the Claudias, not to use you as example. But it's like nobody talks about that until this is stopped. You either have two choices. You take the deal and get on your knees and your life's ruined, or you say, "I'm not doing that." And guess what? They take away a promotion you should have had. They don't put you on for a show. They don't give you an opportunity. People are forgetting that the people that said no had their lives ruined in different ways. So it needs to stop. The will needs to be broken,
So many times in this business, I felt like, is there like an invisible force that's stopping from going to the next level? And you best believe when you tell some of these executives no, they talk to other executives, and a lot of CEOs, heads of networks, heads of radio companies, a lot of them are friends. And how dare you say no to somebody? That's a great point. That's a great point. Oh, well, thank you, Tisa.
You guys, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I joined so late.
I'm always like, "Can you come this week?"
Listen, I can always come. I love seeing you ladies. Thank you so much for inviting me back. But yeah, if it's an open invitation, just let me know. I'll see you guys soon.
It is. Are you in New York? How long are you staying in New York?
Honestly, I'll text you off WhatsApp. There's security issues, but I don't know. I might be here tomorrow, might be here for 3 years. I don't know. I'll text you off the thing and we can coordinate. But yeah, definitely.
We got to hang out one of these days.
Definitely.
She's a jet setter, Erica. This girl, this is the longest she's been in the States. She's always jet setting someplace fabulous. So
I love it. I am inspired. Thank you so much, because you literally ran out of the courtroom and now you have to run back in. So thank you for giving us a little time today.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me, you guys. All right, you guys. I'll see you guys soon. And yeah, you guys, well, what can I say? You guys are owning the podcast and I love the podcast. I listened faithfully. So I am excited to be on, okay? And I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Everybody follow Tisa Tells on her YouTube channel, on her social media. Please subscribe to her channel. She breaks it all down. And not just this Diddy trial. She breaks down Real Housewives of Atlanta, the Meg Thee Stallion, Tory Lane situation, all of them. She's really, and she does a deep dive that a lot of us are too lazy to do.
Well, it's thorough because she also goes through the actual, filings. So when people are talking about like this just landed in, court or this is public record, she will go through like page by page and make sure that you understand exactly what it is. So she's so amazing. I'm so glad that she was able to give us a little bit of time.
She's not just opinion. She brings actual
Facts.
and legal facts. I love that. Just want to show her some love. Let's see. E.N. Priest says, I follow her. She's amazing. Mary Bird said, love you all. Ladies, keep shining. Tisa, Miss G Dove says, Tisa is on all the YouTube channels and TV. Go Tisa. She's been on Nancy Grace and a lot of all the shows in New York. They're all using her and putting her on. So yeah, a lot of them are showing love. We have one hater in the chat that I'm not going to read any of your comments. We're actually, Maggie, can we block the one hater on there? Yes.
I think it's good for the algorithm, but okay. I do understand that our actual informers, we want y'all to stay comfortable in your home. So yes, we are on that as well.
That's right. All right. Now, let's see. Do we have more? We're going to do that other story before we get into this. Okay. Real quick. Let's get into the story before we bring our fantastic wonderful friend Dustin on. Let's talk about privilege because the next story is a prime example of it. Republican Congresswoman Cammack, is that how you say her name?
Sure.
Cammack. All right, doesn't matter, right? Recently had to get an abortion after suffering an ectopic pregnancy, but she lives in Florida, so that's illegal. And she reportedly only got hers because she called the governor who told the doctors it was okay to go ahead and give her an abortion, although thousands of other women are not allowed to. He said the doctors would not be punished for it. Erica, she is blaming the left for her delay in treatment, saying it's the left that was fear-mongering, not that Republican trash POS governor Ron DeSantis down in Florida. She really found it put it in her mouth, let it come out her mouth, that it was the fault of the Democrats. What do you think about this, Heifer?
Well, there's a BOGO on Audacity these days, and she clearly has had more than her fill. The idea that the expediting her termination is because of the left. First of all, I do want to say this because I do have a heart and my empathy is not broken. It is a terrible, terrible experience for any woman who is pregnant to have to medically terminate her pregnancy. So my heart does go out to her because last year, this time, that was me. And I had to let go of I had to terminate my ectopic pregnancy. Now, ectopic pregnancies fall under the category that, first of all, this is not a viable pregnancy. And secondly, it will kill the mother. So that's the reason why we refer to it as a medical termination. Now, I want to be very clear about this because from the moment that Roe v. Wade was overturned, my first thing was because people were like, well, aren't you concerned about your daughters to, lawmakers and people who are in support of overturning Roe v. Wade? And I said on the air, loud and proud on DBL, no, they're not worried about it because their mistresses, their daughters, their whoever will always have safe and affordable ways to terminate a pregnancy. So she got a slight bit of the panic that ensues when a woman is in this position and not able to legally get her needs met medically. And I'm glad that she had a taste of it. But how are you going to understand the plight and the panic and still turn around and play the game, the blame game? Because at the end of the day, karma is real. And what goes around comes right back around because this conversation is not over. And her hypocrisy is something to be studied.
I agree. I wish doctors would just say, screw the law and just do what they got to do and help and put their commitment to help people first. Because at this point, the way that it's not okay for but it's okay for me type thing, that's what's going on down there. And I can't, there's probably so many others that never make the news that get their way in red states where they have these huge bans. And it's unbelievable. The fact that now that this raggedy bitch knows what it feels like, the pain to have an ectopic pregnancy, a non-viable pregnancy, and needing medical care in the form of an abortion, a termination, and for you to go back to your team, the red team, and be okay upholding this and being okay with this. I went to her page. I left her a few not so friendly comments today. I was definitely in my, I was reading a bitch down today. I was very disgusted because think about the girl that can't afford to travel out of Florida. Think
Well-
about the girl, and where's she gonna go? Georgia? No. Alabama? No. Mississippi? No. Louisiana? No. She probably have to travel like 8 states to get to a state that she could probably maybe get one.
Well, it's also the urgency. When I had to expel my pregnancy, it had to be done immediately. It had
Isn't it
to
really
be done.
painful? Isn't an ectopic pregnancy extremely painful because your fallopian tubes are in danger of bursting, right?
Not only physically painful, but it's also mentally taxing.
Mhm.
So I just want people to just have like a little bit of empathy, but we wouldn't be over here on the other side of Roe v. Wade being overturned if anyone in our government had that sort of empathy. So at least on the other side.
And the
And I
nerve
know
of
that we could go on about this, but
but the audacity of her being a woman that is of childbearing age, and then this happens to her. Look at how karma works. I hope it changes her in a way where she could have more empathy for others, because we're hearing other women that are forced to, they're not allowed the medical care, and they have to wait till pretty much they accept it. They have sepsis.
yes,
Until,
sepsis.
until they can, like, basically they're getting their blood's being poisoned from rotting from within with this tissue. And then maybe we'll save you when you're on death's door, then we'll act. That the fact that she's okay with that for everybody else, because she can call the governor.
It's inhumane. It's inhumane. Period.
Ooh, we need to bring back celebrity death match and let it be the people versus politicians. Sign me up. I will whip that trick. I would love to whoop that trick. That would be so fun. We could fight it out in the ring. All right, let me calm down. You are listening to Accidentally Informed. I am Claudia Jordan with my beautiful co-host, Erica Cobb. Now, our next guest spent the entire weekend with us and still wanted to be on the show. Please welcome friend, comedian, and a very sexy man, Dustin Ross.
My
Dustin.
girl,
Hey.
Claudia, Erica, hi, beautiful. How y'all doing?
Hey, Dustin, let me tell you, you almost got me in trouble with my husband.
Did
I looked at that picture. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Look how he's looking at you.
Me and my girl. I love my friends. I'm so proud of how beautiful my friends are. It's so good. It was so good to be in your company. Listen, before we get too far away from what you guys were just discussing, though, Cammack ain't shit. She ain't shit. And people like her are the problem. How dare you even use the word monger? How dare mongering even come out of your mouth when that is the reason why all this shit is the way it is right now? There would be no fear to be mongered if they did not instill and instate it in the first damn place. There would be nothing for the left to be sharing or to be afraid of if there was nothing that was changed. And how dense do you have to be to have that circumstance and not get it? The first thing out of her mouth should have been, I am looking like Effie in Dreamgirls. I am changing. That should have been the first thing out of her damn mouth, because you have literally been through the experience. You see why this is a necessary medical procedure for people, for women, for people that can give birth. I don't understand why going through the problem and going through the motions was not sufficient. So that's why I say she ain't shit.
You're right. She's not.
Yeah.
And there's no laws that govern men's medical reproductive system.
Right.
There's no, like, there's some, I've read something in one of the states where a wife had to get the permission from her husband to get a hysterectomy. And meanwhile her man went and got snipped with he didn't have to contact his wife first and ask for her permission and
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's 2025. This is not The Handmaid's Tale. They're getting completely out of control and losing their damn minds, these lawmakers. And that's why we got to vote their asses out at the first opportunity we get. So I just wanted to touch on that. That's all. How y'all doing tonight?
Desperation. We're doing good. Should we talk about something a little lighter now?
Well, the weekend was fun. We got to see, so both Dustin and I were in Washington, D.C. for a job. Unfortunately, mine ran late, but I'm so glad that Erica got to go see your comedy show. He's currently on tour. He will be in Dallas on the 2nd of July. We will be there.
Yes.
Erica, you got to go to the show, and I was living through your story because you were posting videos. I'm like, oh my God, he's so good.
So good. First of all, tickets are still available. Website
Yes,
Dustin Ross Live?
DustinRossLive.com. Dustin Ross Live, direct links to each city, very easy to navigate. Yes.
Yes. And it is very easy. It took me 2 seconds to buy a ticket. Okay. So,
Thank
and
you.
everything. And also, I love your website because the pizza cursor is everything. But yeah, I get to the Miracle Theater. And first of all, I got there maybe 5 to 10 minutes before the show was supposed to start. People were seated. Okay. I mean, the entire theater, they were seated. And then as people were coming in, like, it was very much like your audience is family. So it's like, if there was like a seat that was in the middle, people like scooted over to like let their cousins come and sit, you know, like in the same row. But when you took the stage, the response from the audience, like, it was electric. And every trending topic, because your content is very timely and people were engaging like they were, you know, I felt like I was listening to a podcast, like the way that I respond in the car. I wanted to do some stuff, but I was like, this is a live show. I shouldn't just, you know, scream things out. But people were, because the way that you say, like, do you understand what I'm talking about, or should we gossip? And then you fill in all, you know, things that people didn't know, and people were like, I didn't know that. What? Like, it's so much more than a comedy show. It's like a one-man act. It's amazing. You're amazing. I can go on and on about it.
Thank you so much. What a high compliment, right? Coming from Erica Cobb. So thank you very much. I'm so glad you enjoyed yourself. That's all I wanted people to do, is just have a good time, forget about their worries for a second, or in the case of DC, 2 hours, because we ran 2 hours that night. But just let go of everything and just have a good time and laugh. So I'm very glad that that's your takeaway, girl. Thank you, friend. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
And I love someone that creates their own, like, creates a new lane for themselves. Like, I've known Dustin for years. I never knew he had any aspirations to do comedy. And the fact that he just said, you know what, guess what? Bam, drops a tour date, and it's successful out the gate, and it's great. Like, there was no getting used to it or getting in the rhythm. Out the gate, everything I hear, and I cannot wait to see next week.
I can't wait.
You're a natural, so I'm very proud of you.
Coming from the master of the pivot, that means a lot. So thank you very much.
I'm gonna find me a job now.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. So let's get into some topics. You ready to dish and have some fun?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's talk about, I want to get your take on a couple stories making the rounds. Keke Palmer recently said she doesn't think successful women need to date within their tax bracket, saying she's more interested in tangible things. But then we've got Cardi B, whose new man, Stefon Diggs, is renting a private castle in France for her. Who's right in your opinion? Dustin, we'll go to our guests first. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're both right, because you should be with whoever the hell you want to be with. Keke Palmer is fine picking up the check. Let her pick that check up. You know what I'm saying? She obviously doesn't feel like she's lacking anything. She's a multiple Emmy award winning entertainer. You know what I mean? Loved by all, magnetic personality. Maybe she don't need no damn man for nothing except for what she needs him for. So it works for her. Cardi B is a person who we know she has a penchant for luxury. She likes nice things. She likes experience and she likes things to be elevated, we should say. And if her man Stefon Diggs, who they make a stunningly beautiful couple, and if he has the means to blow her mind with experiences, why the hell not? I think that's how it should be.
You know what I liked about that pairing? The fact that he didn't just take her to a castle to stunt. The man pays attention, because Cardi B apparently makes it known that she has a love of history. And she said something about that she never gets to go see these places when she's over there because she's always working. So he had to hear that maybe during some pillow talk or just like having conversations that, you know, that she has a love for things like, because that's a random place like Europe, go to a castle. For him to be so specific, he was listening to what his woman said. And to me, that's sexier than any dollar amount. Like, it's not about how much. I mean, of course, it doesn't help that he dropped the bag on it, but like, that's beautiful that he listened to her. And I like them together. At first, I was like, no, but I like them together.
Me too.
I love this too, but I think I have a slightly different take, because first of all, I think that it is so difficult to find a true partner in this life, someone who will love you down the way that you love them down and support you mutually. So I'm always a proponent of, if you find true love, it doesn't matter what other people think about the optics or what it looks like. It's all about you two and this union. So just keep out the noise in your relationship. It's nobody's business but your own. But the duality of that statement is, I think that sometimes when we hear messaging like this, like Keke's on, social media, people believe just because it's on their feed, it's for them, and it's not. Because Keke is in a very, very privileged position. And for the average person, you don't want to put yourself, particularly women, putting themselves in position where they are being drained by someone because they don't have boundaries with their discrepancy of funds. So that's where I get a little concerned, because I don't believe that it's all about how much you make. I do think that equally yoked could mean a lot of different things. Yeah. Finances can actually come into that. But I don't want people who are successful, but not necessarily successful in the way that they can take on another child or dependent. If you end up in a situation, because, people will get that twisted. It'll go from, he doesn't make as much money as I do, to he has the potential to get a job. And those are two totally different things. So I want women, especially Black women, to be very mindful that you find someone who is not necessarily your gardener, but someone who you can grow with.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
When I heard Keke say this, and I just saw her at the BET Awards, and one of the biggest compliments, she said, "Thank you for always defending me." I remember I had a lot to say when her baby daddy was dragging her through it. It was a whole dramatic thing with those two. I have mixed feelings when she said it, because I've been with men, of course, that have had less than me, but they had more than me in other areas. Like, they were just resourceful, good people, hard work. Like, while I was weak, they were strong, and it worked, right? But I feel like when she said this, I was like, oh no, Keke. Like, I felt like it would immediately put up the bat signal for broke ass guys to come up to her that have no business trying to date a Keke Palmer, that may be like, well, okay, she okay with a guy that don't really got it like that. And I do think that a lot of Black women, especially if you want to stay and you want to be with a Black man, listen, there's no tiptoeing around this, okay? No sugarcoating. There is a shortage of men. There are just simply not enough Black men for Black women. So you either have to go out of your race, or you have to adjust with some of your standards, right? And I feel like a lot of women are starting, like, some women, I talk to them all the time, are giving up. Like, well, I'm not going to hold out for the guy that's financially secure, successful, this high, this education level. I just want a guy now. And I think that's a really sad thing. You know what I'm saying?
Completely. Desperation is always a sad thing, especially when you're desperate simply from a lack of resources. If women are out earning men, if women are educated in greater numbers than men at that time, those are the things that kind of determine the criteria that people measure a good partner or a good coupling by. And if there's nothing there for you to work with, sometimes that can cause desperation. Some women can start dating in other spaces or reimagining what their partner is or looks like. I don't know. I do know that there are eligible bachelors out there. I know several Black men who are looking for wives, looking for girlfriends, looking for partners who are qualified. They do exist. I think that people have to kind of get off of the fucking internet. That's what I think. I think that there's all these conversations reverberating and circulating about men versus women and who's out earning who and outpacing who. But if you step away from that, get out into the world, you will encounter and come across somebody who may be a good fit for you. I think that socially, we kind of have to push ourselves a little bit more than we have been, because we've gotten a little comfortable with the luxuries of technology. Yeah. It's time to get up off your ass and get out in that world and get outside. That's
agreed. What are the comments from one of our, I know this isn't in our rundown, but I think it's worth mentioning this story. Did y'all see, Christina R says, did y'all see Amina Butterfly's post saying she's homeless with Peter Gunn's kids in Germany? She had to leave the States and go stay with family in Germany. Did y'all see that?
Yeah,
I did. I did see it. What are we supposed to do with that, right? Like you all, Amina, you're a person who was in a singing group. You've been on television. Your children's father, although compromised, has been in a music group as well, has been on television. People who have not had those experiences in that sort of portal to wealth building and to getting money, let's just dumb it down and call it what it is. They're not sympathetic with that. We don't empathize. We don't have any feelings towards that. Hate to see a mother and small kids displaced and unhoused. Of course, on a human level, you're touched by that. But it kind of falls on deaf ears when you're a fucking celebrity telling us this, who are lay people and who are struggling, trying to figure out just how to get a job that's going to get us to the next job, to get to just a place of peace and harmony financially. Wrong time. Read the fucking room. That's what I have to say about it.
See, I'm going to revisit the idea of this social media narrative because, Dustin, you're absolutely right. That's driving so much of this. And we never talk about how Black women are martyred and always at the bottom of the rung when it comes to these narratives, particularly when we're talking about dating and relationships. Now, it is no secret that I am married to a white man from Canada. Okay. People come for me about that all the time. But tell me how numbers work, because my mother is a mathematician. Claudia alluded to this earlier. We are telling Black women that it has to be a particular person at a particular time looking a particular way, knowing full and well we can look at the census data that there are not enough eligible heterosexual men for Black women who are looking for Black men to partner with. Therefore, it by default makes Black women an option. And I want women, just same way that I was talking about, it is all about how it feels to you and your union. And if you can find someone to love, that is the hardest part of the battle. So do you and whatever makes you comfortable with consenting adults, okay? But at the end of the day, it makes Black women an option. Because if you have 50% more Black women who are eligible than Black men, then you're getting in a place where the competition does not breed elevation. That's just what it is. I am the product of a Black man and a Black woman who have been married for 45 years, okay? People always act like I don't understand Black love. I see it. My parents are still here. But at the end of the day, I found someone who loves me. And I'm not going to ignore that simply because we do not have the same skin tone. And I really hope that people are stopped being shamed for who they love and how they love, because at the end of the day, love is rare and it should be valued.
They love doing that to Black women, like you somehow gave up on the Black man if you find love somewhere else. They love doing that.
There's no giving up. Like, it's like, how do you, I know so many single, beautiful, successful Black women who are absolutely looking for Black men. And I want that. And I love that for them. But at the end of the day, the numbers aren't numbering. Yeah. And that's all I'm saying. If you're looking for love in your life, you may have to look, as Dustin said, in other places and spaces. And I know I'm about to be dragged for it.
I feel like she's talking to me. I feel attacked. I feel No, I'm not attacked. I'm kidding.
I'm not. I am also not telling people like, go over there. I'm just simply saying some people are going to have to open up. Exactly how we had Anwar White on. The same thing. Okay.
Well, let's move on because we want to get to our friendship topic. There were a lot of friendship stories making the headlines. We've got Brandy and Monica going on tour after a decades-long feud with someone threw hands. I heard it was Monica threw hands at Brandy, allegedly. Then there's BSimone, who recently sat down with her best friend, and some things were spilled that were quite shocking. Take a look.
Being a best friend with a celebrity, everybody thinks that, oh, because you're connected to this person, then your life is just as grand as theirs, or you got it, or they helping you. Baby, didn't have a job, living with my parents, a single mom. All this happened to me this past year. Jesus. And then it's like to not have resentment in my heart towards you because I saw you do this for other people. I saw you give a check to somebody to help them through whatever they went through. And it's like, God, like nobody didn't give me a handout, but guess what? That wasn't your responsibility. God had to take me through that for my own season, for my own thing. I had to get my car repossessed. Jesus. I had to go through the food stamps line. I had to be on Medicaid because whatever I'm building my story too. But it's like, as a friend, somebody who has it, it's hard to digest.
Whoa.
Jesus.
Okay, I gotta ask you, would you let your friend go through that, and should you? Well, Dustin, from the look on your face, I want to hear from you first.
So to answer your question, no, it's no secret. I'm not going to be friends with someone who I would even question the notion of helping or aiding if they're in a situation where they needed that. No questions asked, no expectation of a return. I'm here to be your friend and help you out of that situation if I can do it. And I'm going to do that, right? That being said, BSimone, I think, accomplished something great by identifying an audience of people to, you know, believe what she says and buy what she sells. And she saw success. That's something noteworthy that I think we should celebrate. I think she's a smart woman. That being said, I think that was one of the dumbest conversations I've ever seen in my life, because what is the service here? What are we servicing the audience by you sitting up here telling her that you basically resented her because she had means and you saw her help others and not you? However, you saw the value in progress that you were making amidst challenges, aka the struggle, and so you felt enriched or strengthened through that. That's stupid. None of that is going to help anybody that's listening in any way. What are you going to do? Be miserable too? Wallow together? I just don't see the benefit there. And her reaction was confusing to me. Claudia, there's no way in hell you and I could be having a conversation and you tell me that you're fucked up and I'm not going to do what I do to help you. Just like I know that I could call you if I needed some help. You know what I mean? If I was in an emergency, we would do that for each other as friends. So that was foreign to me. I didn't see the point of it. And it felt like two people who really don't fuck with each other like that, having a conversation and really telling their true feelings about what happened. I didn't get it.
You know, I do want to just throw it out there that this is just a clip of a broader conversation, right? So, and I think it's only available on the app now.
Okay.
So we don't know if there were like action steps. If I was her team, I would have put out what the follow-up was to that because of the blowback. Like, it was pretty strong this weekend. But I can understand being in a position where you might be doing better financially and you might have a friend who's struggling, and there being a nuanced conversation about giving someone money. Like in my circumstances, there is a certain number that I will give to someone with no expectation of return if you're struggling and you need it. But I also understand that sometimes, because, you know, Cammack is my brand, and I'm always trying to we always try to warn people about things that we've been through, hoping that they take heed and they avoid it. But there are instances where it is very important for everyone to touch the stove in order to know that it's hot. So there is a fine line between saving someone and just pouring resource in that, because that breeds resentment, especially if you're giving resources to someone who may not be allocating the funds in a responsible manner. So I would have appreciated a conversation to a follow-up. Like, I understand what you're saying. And yes, I did give money to this particular person. The reason why I wasn't in a position to do this for you is X, Y, and Z. And that was a conversation that maybe we should have had before. Like, that's what I wanted to hear. But to just say Jesus as if she's hearing it for the very first time and y'all are supposed to be best friends is off-putting.
Yeah, so there probably was a deeper conversation that we didn't get to see. So all we can do is just go on this. From this clip, it's horrible. From this clip, it is horrible. And she's an Aries too, which Aries tend to try to save the world. That's like our number one thing. Like, we at our own demise. So I'd like to know, did this woman have a gambling problem? Was she taking money and giving it to an ain't shit guy? That would actually help us, because all we have to go on and is kind of and demonizing BSimone, which there may be a good reason. Okay, so if there was no reason and she's just like, well, I just didn't, then you're fucked up. There's no way my best friend can have their car repossessed and I'm giving money to other people that are not my best friend. But if there's a greater reason, like this girl's just going to trick it off, drug problem, whatever it is, that's a different conversation. I agree with you, Erica. I agree with both of you, actually. On one hand, I'm like, how could you? But then on the other hand, it's like, well, I need to know the why. And yes, her team did not do her any favors by only releasing that, because BSimone is already someone that gets criticized a lot. They say she's untruthful, that she's had a lot of people, criticize her. And she's also going through something herself right now, financially. I don't know if you guys saw, but she said she
I
was making
did.
like $1 million a month, and now it's down to $10,000 a month. And now they've got people that didn't agree with her back then kind of laughing at her like that's what she gets. She didn't want a 9-to-5 man. What do you think?
Yeah, she said in what I saw, which, and I'm not I just watched the clips ass nigga, so I hate even opining on this without like the full context, right? But fuck it. So in the clip that I saw, she was saying that she had invested, I guess, the majority of her money in some app that she's trying to build or partner with. I'm not sure of her involvement exactly beyond her investment. And so because of that, she was cash strapped a little bit, and she was crying, saying how she had gone into Bloomingdale's to shop, but then I guess once the budget didn't reflect what it needed to, she said that she went to H&M. Again, because she's been so successful, right, at building an audience of people, predominantly women who believe in what she says, who are everyday working women, you know what I'm saying, trying to make it. I thought crying about going to H&M, which there's nothing wrong with at all in any way, right? Beyond them using that picture, that little black boy with the I'm a monkey. With
Oh
the
my
monkey.
God. Yeah, that part.
Outside of that, when it just as far as like there being some sort of shame or something attached to H&M, that's just not true. It doesn't exist, and it did not help that she put that out in that way. I don't think she thought it all the way through before she discussed it. And that's a problem that a lot of people are having when they enter the podcast space, the interview space, and they're not prepped. They are not knowledgeable per whatever they're discussing. You know what I mean? You end up saying shit that doesn't make sense and that you didn't think all the way through, like this. Why are you crying? A woman who has talked about making millions and millions of dollars. Why are you getting on the internet crying about shopping at H&M, which is something that most people have to work all week long to be able to go do, and they're grateful for it to get that look from H&M. To me, that's just something you shouldn't do. It was in poor taste.
Definitely wasn't reading the room for the current situation most of the country is in right now. And I think this is what hurts BSimone. When you do long form podcasts, an hour, 2 hours, if you think the person is actually your audience is actually listening to the whole thing, they have enough time to hear you say an outrageous statement and then explain it or further go into it. But in this microwave society that we're in, no one's watching the whole thing. They're getting a clip and they're going to judge you accordingly. So the average person watching your podcast, like you said, Dustin, they're happy to go to an H&M, and it's giving first world problems to maybe a second or third world audience that's like, hey, I'm trying to put gas in my car. So it doesn't help her. So that conversation on top of the other conversation about not helping her friend out is not a good, like the team has got to release the better parts of that interview.
Yeah.
She's not going to, it's going to be very hard to get people back on her side. No one's going to be on your side about, oh my God, I can't shop at Bloomingdale's. I can only do H&M, when other people like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my rent right now? Although it's not her fault that she's successful. She should be penalized for that, but you got to read the room.
You got to be smarter than that. Yeah.
I know that we have to move on to get the Real Housewives of Atlanta in, but I do want to say this. I think that there's some duality of thought to this, because I want people to have the space to be able to be honest about their reality. But when you're a testimony teacher and your testimony starts to exceed that of those who are connected with you, then that's when you have to bring in reinforcements, because you're not grounded in that same way. You're not grounded in that same reality. And unless your following is elevating at the same rate that you are to have that conversation openly and honestly, because there's nothing on the surface wrong with what she said. It's a change in lifestyle was the point.
Her reality change.
Yeah, but the fact is her audience can't relate to that reality. And that's where the disconnect comes in. So I think there is a little duality there.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, 100%. Erica, I agree, girl.
I think that's why a lot of reality stars make themselves a little unlikable with their audience. Their audience is shopping at H&M, and you're talking about how everything is LV, Prada, and Gucci. And it's like, when things do go left for you, they're like, whatever, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to be empathetic to that when you're kind of
you could just wear it. You could have that same LV, Prada, and go just wear it, and don't talk about it in a way that is off-putting for people. This should be aspirational. You know what I mean? Not something that throws people off. And that's a slippery slope. That's all.
Speaking of slippery slopes and things that are off-putting, we cannot go without talking about the Real Housewives of Atlanta drama. Oh my God, Brit and Kelli went low in this week's episode, with Brit even talking about Kelly's alleged abortions. All right, Dustin, I know we talked about this on Monday, but any other thoughts since it went down?
No, no other thoughts other than the fact that these two women, beautiful women, were never friends, ever.
Yeah.
They were never friends. A small disagreement about someone's residual feelings over sharing a glam team, like that's not enough of a reason to have a breakdown in your friendship where you're slinging mud like that. So they never were friends. What happened was she got mad, and by she I mean Brit. She felt slighted by Kelli, I believe, when Kelli became close friends with Shamia, and when Kelli kind of took Shamia's side about the donation issue. That was the rift in their friendship, right? And I think it just grew and amplified over time spent apart. I saw Shamia and Kelli literally in the nightclub in New York City together having a good time. I've witnessed them be friends outside of the camera. And I think that was too much for Brit, and Kelli probably had already seen things she didn't like about Brit, and here we are, they imploded. I'm just never cool with, if we're friends, we are trying to hurt each other in an argument. That's never all right with me. Never, ever, ever.
I 1,000,000% agree. I think that whatever I loved how Kelli came back on a camera and said, "My body, my choice." Like, full stop. This isn't even a conversation that we should be having outside. This isn't a conversation we should be having outside of me volunteering that information to someone else. But I will say this, because I do think that the Kelli and Brit thing is a little bit deeper than glam. I do think that it was on the precipice of a destiny swap. People don't understand how glam teams come together. Now, especially when you are particular about, I need this person to do my hair and I need this person to do my makeup. Brit kept referring to the glam team as if they were a brick and mortar called the glam team. No, these are individual people who Kelli identified because this person did her makeup the best. This person did her hair the best. This person understood her body the best. These are people that she catered for her. And it does, and I've had this happen, it starts to make you look the same, and they're on the same show. So when it is weird, it's one thing to be like, oh, my makeup artist is doing my makeup, like he can do your makeup as well. But when you have everybody, then at that point, we might as well, one of us do a photo shoot, and let's just take the heads off and AI this thing, because it's the same. It becomes the same thing.
Plus, they have the same call times for the most part. Like, so they got to choose who they want to go, whose house they want to go to first. And if you get this short end of the stick, and I'm the one that put this team together, I'm gonna be pissed. If I'm loaning you my team, and they go to your house first. I wanted to clear
don't
something
loan them out if you on that tip. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interject, but don't loan your glam team out. There's nothing wrong with those very real considerations that you guys just identified, right? And if those are real things to consider, don't loan your glam out. Because if you're not okay with it, don't do it. Just don't do it. That way, then you don't have anything to worry about.
But it's a very fine line, because you don't want to get in between someone and their bag. So it makes sense. I don't want to stop the bag for, not only is my glam team, it's my glam team, but they're my friends. Like,
you want them to make money,
see them win and succeed. So getting everybody together is weird.
You have to prioritize what's important. Then is it more important for me to get this $300 or $400 for this, I guess, makeup? I don't know how much this shit costs for this makeup appointment. You know what I mean? Is it more important to me that my friend makes this $400 or $500, or is it more important to me that me and this friend on cast stay on good terms and don't have issues because we share glam? Maybe you can give him $500 and then don't tell her about the glam, and everybody's happy.
I think they were also both reality TV novices. They were not vets. So they probably, I do think that Kelli had the best intentions at first, but then started to go left. And we did talk about how, Brit started serving looks, and people hated Brit for most of the season. So then when the girl that everyone doesn't like is starting to show up looking good, you gonna feel away like, hold up, I thought I was the favorite. I was the one that y'all
look good.
You did, but that attitude. I want to say something real quick. I want to clear something up from Monday's show. When we were talking about well, Kelli threw the low blow first, saying that Brit was the pill popper allegedly, and that's why Brit responded so ferociously with the abortion allegation. This is and then I read a text that came in from someone on the show that said that confirmed allegedly that Brit had offered allegedly some pills. The reason why I brought that up, I didn't really properly articulate it on Monday. I just want to say this. The reason why I thought it was different is because the thing that Brit was alleged to have done wasn't a secret conversation that she had with Kelli saying, hey, girl, by the way, I sometimes pop pills. She did it in front of several other people, if we are to believe the text, right? In front of 4 other witnesses. So that's different than me one-on-one picking up the phone, having a conversation saying, hey, back 6-7 years ago, I had an abortion, blah, 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 blah. To me, if you were doing it when you're working on a reality show in front of other cast members, it is fair game. To me, that is not the same as a one-on-one conversation that I had with you about something that happened way before I even did this show. Neither one of them were right, though. They were both grimy. It went low. But that was why I even brought up the text. I just wanted to explain that a little bit better.
Get it. I totally get it, friend.
I do want to clarify, when you say Monday night, you are referring to Monday Night Live, which people can tune in to see you and Dustin and Carlos King on Reality with the King.
Such a fun
so
show.
I just want to just throw that out there, because I was like,
I had to text somebody about that. Not even really check, but I had to. I meant to send you this tweet too, Claudia. Somebody had tweeted like, oh, you ain't have to do Claudia like that. And I was like, first off, you saw that?
Yeah, and I saw what you said, so thank you, and I liked what you said. I think because when I came with that tea, I mean, if you don't know our relationship, they could look like, oh, he shut her down. I basically read a tweet where a text that one of the housewives that I was watching was like, just some inside tea. Allegedly, Brit did offer us all pills when we were in Grenada. So I read that because I didn't properly articulate that. That's why I was even reading it, to show that it was done in front of other people. You don't even have to explain. I know your intent.
That's not even the nature. I know we got to go. They're going to be so mad at us. But that's not even the nature of the show that we do. We don't have that kind of relationship. No. Stop even introducing that angle to what you see in us offering commentary on a fucking television show. We don't do that. It's never going to be that. I would never. And actually, my bad for even doing something that people could perceive that way, right? Because that's the opposite of anything that I would even ever bring. You already know it's never going to happen.
Down the allegation, like it was like, so what? Who cares? Yeah. But it wasn't. I didn't take it as it was to me. But I've been in this space for a while, as you have. I get it. But I know you. See, there's a difference when you do a show with your friends.
Yes.
When you do a show with your real friends and you know nuance and you know, like, I know you, like, I didn't even have to even hit you up about that. I just liked your response. I put a heart on it. Like, that's it. That's all I had to say. I know you and I know your heart. So I will say, doing the show with you and Carlos, my nervous system, I'm not on defense. I'm not always like ready to like defend myself, because y'all love me and I know it. You don't ever have to reinforce me that. I know you.
Always safe.
The raindrops feel it too. So
they do. Erica's a raindrop. I'm so glad y'all got to hang out and meet. And we have to, we all need to do something together.
Much more to come. I want to come back over here too, because I love what y'all are doing over here. So anytime y'all want me to pop in, let's figure that out. I want to come back.
It would and honestly be our pleasure. We would love to have you back. Intelligent, sexy. You know how many people ask me about you?
Tell them I said what up though. It's summertime. Cardi B said we going outside. We outside all summer. So yes. But thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. So much fun over here. I can't wait to come back.
We will have you back. And next week, Dustin, I'm gonna have you, if you have time, I'd love to have you over, and I'd like to cook you a nice home cooked meal. Okay.
I would love to. Let's figure all that out. I love you, ladies. Thank you so much. Accidentally Informed.
Oh, wait, where can they find you? I want people to go and buy tickets and find you and find your social media.
For sure. DustinRossLive.com. Thank you. DustinRossLive.com. All the ticket information from our upcoming shows is there. There are 4 shows left on tour. Maybe 1 or 2 more, maybe. But there's 4 shows left on tour currently. And then we're going to do this shit again and again and again and again. So Dustin Ross Live, all things social media. Look at Dustin.
And then he has a show with Ebony K. Williams. He has the Friends podcast. He has the Reality King.
I'm a loyal juror for Holding Court.
Oh, Erica, thank you. That show is so special to me. Shout out to Ebony K. Williams, My sister, I love her so much.
Love Ebony.
And it's been a
Both
pleasure.
Emmy award-winning hosts, by the way.
We won the
Yeah.
Emmy. We won the Image Award, but that Emmy
Image,
is.
I'm sorry,
we're gonna get
Image.
that, yeah. That's all right. Say Emmy to us. God damn it.
The
You're
Emmy's
right.
coming next. The Emmy's coming
Yes,
next.
that's right.
We love
Yes.
you, Dustin.
Thank
We
you.
will
I
see
love
you
y'all.
soon.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Love you.
All right. Well, that was super, super fun. I know we went overnight. We gave you an extra 9 minutes. Sorry, Megan.
Sorry, Peter. I'm gonna hear about this. Okay.
Well, that was fun. That was so
That was
fun.
so much fun. Oh my gosh. So y'all will be back live on Monday for Monday Night Live.
Monday Night Live. And then
Reality with the King.
Dustin will be here on Wednesday for a show. If you want to fly on down to Dallas, open invitation. I'm just
Okay.
saying.
All right.
Anthony gonna be so sick of me. Like, my wife used to be home cooking me meals. And now
Yeah.
she's always out in these streets with this goddamn Claudia Jordan chick in DC and all kind of cities in Aruba and Vegas. I'm sorry. We're not
No,
sorry.
I'm sure he's fine. He's fine.
Make sure you like, follow, and share us on all our social media platforms, and tell a friend. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and spread the word. Let's blow this thing up.
Yes.
And this has been Accidentally Informed, where
We can't guarantee you'll learn something, but today you definitely did.
that's right. We'll see you next time, week after next. But next week we have a best of show. You don't want to miss it. It's gonna be fun.
Oh my gosh. For those of you who informers who are just finding us, it's going to be the best of since we launched Accidentally Informed in December. We're going to have new clips and content all week. So make sure you like, you follow, you tell a friend. It's going to be an amazing week. So it's going to be filled with content, and we can't wait to connect with you.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next time. Bye, Erica.
Bye.
Put it on, girl. Let me see it. Put it on, girl. Let me see it.